This week's parasha is Parashat Vayishlach. The parasha has many different stories about Jacob, and there is one passage which is particularly startling in the sense that it seems to be superfluous. It's not clear what the purpose of the story is. It's not even a story. It is a list of kings and queens that are related to the people of Edom. And this lasts for quite a long time. And the rabbis discussed this passage and reported that one of the most evil kings of Israel, of Judah actually, was the king Manasseh. And one of his great sins was that he mocked this section of our parsha. This section about the kings and queens and concubines of the Edomites seemed to him, to the king Manasseh, to be just a ridiculous, long, boring, meaningless passage, and the rabbis castigated Manasseh for this attitude. And they tried to explain what the purpose of all these names and marriages and details, what the purpose of the Torah could be by this. In particular, the text tells us about a certain woman by the name of Timnah. Timnah married Esau's firstborn son, Eliphaz. They have children. The first child is Amalek. And this is one of the many different details of this whole chapter. And the rabbis tell us, as opposed to King Manasseh, who didn't understand, they should learn from this. We should all learn from the story that is implicit behind the text. What is the story? The story is about this Timnah, who was actually a princess who was very attracted to the Jewish religion. And so she was so attracted to the Jewish religion that she wanted to convert. She came to Abraham, the rabbis tell us, and Abraham said, "No, you cannot convert." And then she came to Isaac, and he too found her unacceptable. And then she came to Jacob, the rabbis tell us, and finally he also rejected her, disqualified her, found her not worthy enough to join the Jewish people. And so, what does Timnah do? She decides, if I can't join the Jewish people, I'll at least marry somebody who's related to the Jewish people. And so she marries Esau's firstborn son, Eliphaz. And what is the result of this marriage? The result is the birth of Amalek. And the rabbis say this became a terrible punishment to the Jewish people, because Amalek became the people of Amalek who so disturbed and offended the Jewish people in later history. Why, the rabbis ask, did this union produce Amalek? And they answer, this is the punishment to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They refused to accept her conversion, and so the results were that the Jewish people would be punished and would suffer from the later fruits of this rejection. And I believe that this rather imaginative story that the rabbis put together was really invented in order to tell their contemporaries and to tell us what are the results of rejecting and pushing away and excluding and undermining people who are interested and who are attracted and want to be part of our people. The results are that we sow the seeds of resentment and anger, and eventually what sprouts out from this? Hatred, enemies, and great, great unhappiness. And so the rabbis teach us an important lesson here. If Timnah would have been accepted by the great holy Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who found her to be unwanting, if they would have accepted her instead of finding her faults and rejecting her, then Amalek, one of the great enemies of the Jewish people, would not have been born. And so this is a lesson for us today. If we learn to draw close and accept those who are perhaps somewhat different from us, if we embrace them, perhaps we can avoid sowing the seeds of hatred of tomorrow. Shavua Tov from Schechter.